Hello, and thank you for joining our Fireside chats at the European Cardano community. I am Marcus, one of the core team members, and if you like what we are doing, please consider supporting our individual projects. At time of this recording, these are Davide's Rookies Game, Ricardo's Web3 user group, or delegating to my Cardano stake pool with the ticker birth to support us at Larissa Health. You will find the links to our guests and our projects below the video. Now hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, and enjoy this session.
Yes, we can.
So let's do this. Okay. Hello. Welcome everybody to another edition of European Fireside Chat / Town Hall. We are very happy to have you guys here. This is a very exciting evening because most of us are waiting for the result of the Catalyst funding. So let's kick off with our meeting so we can distract a little bit and speak about something more interesting for the time being.
Cool.
So we can start with the regular mantra that we translated in many different languages in the European Union, and it always make a mess and is very, very, very entertaining. So we can start. We start with the first line because I'm Italian. Benvenuti all'esperimento.
Les choses peuvent.
Quebrar.
Fehlende Dokumentation.
Differ greatly between iterations.
Dasher and Ovolo and Spy.
And then this is your part, Davide, because you do the Greek thingy.
I don't remember how to pronounce it. Let's ignore it for the time being. I have to ask my wife.
Let's make it Lidl. He should do the Greek thingy in Dutch.
I think it's FRS, but I'm not sure. Anyway, our goal is to provide an FRS and lively environment for you to explore the highest potential della collaborazione umana.
Perfect. Yay.
And yes, little Meld, we would love to have Dutch as well in the language. So I used to live in the Netherlands until a few months ago for the last 14 years. So I'm very attached to your country. And I love to get back there pretty often. So if you want to host a Twitter space in Dutch, I would love to make it happen, organize it, so we can talk in private about that. But let's go forward about our specific European mantra. And usually it's Marcus that is the author of that who reads it.
Yeah. Keep your notes up to date. New version is 8.7.3, and join the Mithril network as well. Run a signer. It will reduce your loading times for the chain. I experienced that myself, and it's not fun when you're uploading like ages. So for me, it's time to join the Mithrils. Try to study or learn something new every day. That's what we're here for. Support and connect with community members for synergy and goals. Likewise, again, be inclusive, friendly, wise with words, even in anger. And I think Catalyst went well with that this time. Share information without destroying dreams, people, or the reputation. Welcome to the Fireside Chat.
Yes. And as I mentioned before, we host several different Twitter spaces in many different languages. Lately, we have hosted the space in Greek, in Spanish, in Italian, in Croatian, and we will love to expand it even further. So if somebody of you guys in the chat would like to take it away, please get in contact with one of the team. There is also a very small symbolic compensation for the Twitter hosts. So it's something that to keep in mind as well. So yeah, our doors are always open for new Twitter spaces. Please let us know.
Perfect.
And now it's time to present our guests. So I don't have them in order. Who will start first? Maybe we can start with WildTangz.
Yes, and there's one thing today, because some of you heard that we have a little raffle with Meld bank managers. So if you're here for that, we have two options. The first one would be doing a raffle with Ricardo, and the second one would be if Ken said 3 times Meldito, then the first one who pops in, or the first 3 who pops in their Twitter repost links will receive those bank managers. Which one do you like more? I think that the last one is fun.
Yeah.
It's like
Fun.
listening to what we say here.
Yes, it did. Certainly. Good one.
Cool.
What do you need to say? Maldito.
Meldito.
Meldito, but Ken has to say that
Meldito.
if I understood
When
correctly,
he
right?
says.
Yeah, but this one doesn't count yet. Okay.
No.
You have to post the repost link of our initial Twitter post. So if you are here now and you still want to join, the team is excluded, and also the Meld team is excluded. But anybody else, yeah, got those things. It's a present.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Yes.
Hey guys,
Yours.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Awesome. Thanks for
Welcome
having me. I was gonna add something to this slide. I don't know if can you overlay text? I was just gonna put the website so people can look it up. But if not, that's
We
okay.
have the
Let's put
website
it-
down below in the description.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank
Let's put it in the chat, please, so we can copy and paste
Yeah,
it and
awesome.
be
We have it
sure.
already. We have it already.
Great.
Yeah, we did
Wonderful.
work in the beginning. Yes.
Great. And I'll put it in the chat just because I know people like to go do things while I drone on. So please, interrupt me. I don't know how much time I have. I just want to make this a
15
conversation.
minutes. Make it 15
How mu-
minutes. 15? Is that good?
15? Okay, perfect. All right. Well, about 14 of those, we're going to be celebrating the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and then one WildTangz. So, but no, thanks for having me, guys. So, just a little bit of background about me. So, my name's Thaddeus Diamond. I've been in the Cardano space for almost 2 years now, which in Cardano time makes me kind of a newbie, but in NFT time makes me an OG. So, happy to be with you all. I'm sure there's a lot of you who have been around a lot longer, and so hopefully we've crossed paths. But I got into Cardano about 2 years ago because one of my family members was a big Cardano collector and said, well, there's this thing called Haskell. I don't really know how it works. And I had studied computer science undergrad with Paul Hudak, who was one of the inventors of the Haskell language. So it kind of piqued my interest that it was honestly one of the first real world use cases I'd seen about Haskell, but then dove in from there, right? So for the past 2 years, I've had this project called WildTangz, and essentially what we do is we take all of the sort of ideas and needs of the NFT and occasionally DeFi ecosystems, and we try to build open source solutions. We've built a NFT sweeper that was kind of before JPG had their shopping cart. We've built a set of mobile apps and mobile widgets. And we've also built some stuff around running nodes and AMIs on Amazon and things like that. So really been a smattering of tools. And what I'm going to talk about today is what we've done, kind of the series 2 we launched recently within the last month. So that's where if you go to wildtangz.com, you can enter our new app ecosystem, learn about the platform, and mint NFTs, which will give you access to the platform. So let me pause there. I just want to see if there are any questions. Otherwise, I can kind of dive in.
Just continue. That's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody who's here is used to raise their hands and hop into the chat once there is, and usually you just can go through it, and then in the end, people will ask if they have questions.
Awesome. Okay, very good.
Forced.
I don't know. You guys are all polite Europeans, though. I'm a brash American, so I'm a little nervous that you guys won't jump in. But if you promise you'll jump in, then we're good. Okay.
I live in Germany, but
Too
I'm
bad.
from El Salvador, so.
And if it's too bad, we cut you out.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's right. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm showing up here is the app, the mobile app we have. This is live on Android and iOS. And the way this came about was we had our tools from Series 1, which were, like I said, sweeping, minting, getting everyday users onto Cardano and getting familiar with it without really needing to know about Cardano CLI, Cardano Node, any of the CIP standards. It was really geared towards hobbyists, collectors, and occasional DeFi traders. But what this is the next evolution of that app. I started to see from my Series 1 work in the first year and a half that mobile was a huge untapped space. Now, pause. I know we need to recognize Vesper and Flint. There are a lot of really great things on mobile. So That's not to say that there's nothing on mobile. What I'm pointing to is like, if you get onto your mobile app and you have Vesper and you have a couple bucks there, where's the next thing you go to, right? Where's your, hey, here's a list of all my NFTs with all of their trait floors. Here's a list of, you know, charts on the ecosystem and all of my historical trades from Dex Hunter or other ecosystems. So we use the Top Tools API and built that kind of next level experience. I like to analogize this to kind of the Robin Hood of, you know, of being on Cardano mobile. We're not like a bank. We're not like the Vespers who are actually storing your money. And we're also not meant for the advanced people who are like running their own nodes or are, you know, trying to do technical analysis at an extremely detailed level, right? The way we're kind of positioning this is we want to be that onboarding middle layer where you bought some NFTs, you bought some tokens, and every day you're just checking that price action, checking that portfolio action. One thing that's kind of fun about that is we get to focus on really user delightful features. So one of the things we heard and saw on Twitter was, you know, NFTs for our users are like trading cards often. So if you look at that fourth screen, we actually, you can't really do it without a video. So I have some tweets you can take a look through, but we actually have like an accelerometer based NFT trading card view. So it automatically turns any NFT that you own on Cardano into a trading card that you can share with friends. So you can text it, you can email it. It's really trying to bring that rich experience to the artwork that we have on our chain and elevate it. A couple other features I'll hit on here. One is we know we're global. So if you take a look at the bottom right there, we're adding this week currency support. Not only can you view your SNEC or your, you know, WildTangz in ADA and dollars, we have Israeli shekels, we have euros, and and Canadian dollars, and we're gonna continue to build out that currency map. So that's kind of how we approached this, right? Now, the elephant in the room that we've talked with our community about is where do we go from here? I think a lot of folks in the NFT space are used to staking and tokens and really big grand promises. To me, what I actually want to do here is to build a very useful ecosystem that marries all your Cardano assets with an off-chain identity. I'm not as good with Atala Prism and all of these other things that I know are out there, but I am familiar with Web2 stuff, and I think people at this moment are very familiar with that as well. So when you go into this app experience, not only do we have access to all of your wallets or not access, we have sort of like a stored list of what wallets you've linked and information about your asset holdings. We also marry your Web2 identity with that, a Discord login, a web login. And so when you're on mobile, when you're on web, when you're on mobile native app, right? When you're in a dApp, we want to be marrying that offline identity that you can carry across platforms to this online store of assets. And that's really how I want to develop the app ecosystem. You know, a ton of other new features are coming out this week that we can talk about, push notifications, etc. But that's basically the pitch in a nutshell. So I'm excited for the project. We've actually expanded our team. I brought on another full-time engineer, and we're continuing to grow. The Series 2 funds that we have now, if you want to support wildtangs.com/mint, it gets you access to the app. And we're looking to grow from here.
Wow.
Very cool. What I find particularly interesting is it's incredibly cheap, right? Once you have that NFT, there's not really additional cost. Did I get that right?
Yeah, the business model I really want to pioneer is, you know, we could have done this with in-app purchases. We could have done this with, you know, sort of Stripe and credit cards. But I love the idea of the NFT as a business model because maybe you use our app and then you decide you're getting out of Cardano and you want to recover some of your money. So you decide to sell it on secondary, right? I mean, I think of the NFTs as a business model in that token gated utility is a new way of doing it. So yes, once you have, it depends how many you have. We have a tab that shows you kind of what your current access is and what features you get. But if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Tangz, then you get access to the features of this app.
Nice.
Super cool.
Good luck with the mint.
Tadeusz, thank you very much for the platform. Besides the European Cardano engagement, together with friends, we have a non-profit organization and we used your platform for an Easter egg collector's hunt. And obviously, you know, by having very, very low minting cost, this helped us to, you know, fund or do this charity work. So really, congratulations to the team for something which is really creating a lot of impact out there. So thank you very
Oh,
much.
that's awesome to hear, man. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my goal like that, it's funny because they're now all the series 1 is at legacy.wildtangs.com. Like I really loved that. I think I do remember the charity use case you're talking about because we had maybe talked about it. And then I saw another person do kind of like a quick passment to kind of get their project bootstrapped. That's exactly what we want to see on our platform, right? We know there will always be the kind of high-end minting services, and we ourselves offer that on the side. But like that kind of, hey, there's a real world use case for NFTs or creative artists. Like, let's figure out how to get their NFTs out there without breaking the bank. It's really rewarding to see that. So thank you. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah.
Are there limitations to what you can do?
Do you mean from the minting perspective or?
Yes.
Quantities.
That when you create, like, you can do a big collection as well, or do you do only like single mints, or does this work?
Yeah, good question. So if you have access to the Series 1 WildTangz, there are some legacy tools that you can do one-of-ones and larger collections. And I believe it's unlimited for Series 1. Like if you have one Series 1, you can do unlimited one-of-one mints where you're just kind of sitting there uploading files. And then if you have, for every Series 1 Tangs you have, you get kind of 500 at a time in kind of this bulk PFP collection type thing. That one's a little more complex to use. And then going forward, we're going to try to add minting into this mobile app suite as well. And so Series 2 will have access to some of the same utility over time. We have to be a little bit more careful with that because Apple and Android have such annoying rules about like minting and creating crypto and stuff. But yeah, it's always going to be affordable. We're never gonna charge you $1 million additional fees for minting your NFTs. It'll all be token gated through the NFT.
Cool.
Nice. Thank you.
So cool.
Very cool.
I think Mauro, you have a question?
No, guys, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I was one last minute announcements that the Catalyst results are out. And I'm proud to say that the European Cardano Community Town Hall Operation and Country Hubs get funded. So congratulations, I will send the link. So sorry to interrupt again, but this was last minute information for everyone who is here. I just received a DM and it gets launched right now. It's out of the heaven, I think it's in English. So enjoy and sorry again to interrupt.
No worries.
Best wishes to everyone.
Great sharing. Yeah. Thank you so much to the community for your
worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay,
Yes, we did submit. I don't think we got funded this time because we Cardano open developers. Yeah, Cardano Catalyst has been interesting for me. I definitely, you know, I definitely want to continue open sourcing as much as possible. Sometimes it comes down to how you can shift priorities. So so we've applied for Project Catalyst in the past, but that would be more like to put efforts behind certain projects. And then obviously with the mint going on, we're putting all of our focus that we do have bandwidth for on this app. But congrats to everyone who got it. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
You make it next time. When people know more about you, it's gonna be there.
For sure.
Keep going. Keep going, man.
For sure. Yep. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
No. I would have just then switched to Adam. Otherwise, but
first of all, thank you so much. Today was exciting what you guys are doing, and in the mindset of really the Cardano spirit. Yeah, these are projects, you know, that really help onboard people, organizations, especially, you know, those that are cost sensitive. So again, from speaking on behalf of, for example, nonprofit organizations, thanks a lot to you, to the team, for what you guys are doing. You're definitely changing the world.
Awesome. Thanks. And just to close out, would love any feedback. Feedback's a gift. So wildtangs.com/mint, you can get the NFTs. And then even if you don't hold, just hit me up on the Twitter. It's me behind the profile, and would love to hear what you have to say.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Adam, thank you. for
Oh, hey
joining.
guys. Wow. Yeah, I was just looking through. I got a couple of my proposals passed, so we're about to be building
Congrats.
some bridges to the Cosmos ecosystem. So,
Wow.
Congrats, congrats.
Oh, that's exciting.
Congrats.
Can you do a quick wrap up? What's gonna happen?
I don't know. We got to go through and see what all got funded. But I did notice that yeah, our two for the Vista Bridge, which is our our IBC inter-blockchain communications protocol based bridge that'll connect Cardano based side chains to each other, and Cardano to Cosmos got funded. So yeah, super excited right now. I was not sure about that one because I wasn't sure how receptive the Cardano community would be to seeing the bridges to Cosmos. But yeah, so thanks, Mauro, for interrupting the middle of this presentation to let us know that those results came out.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I guess we were supposed to be talking about CIPs, everybody's favorite and least favorite thing at the same time. So yeah, I was talking to Marcus a little bit, and David asked me to come on here and do a talk, but I was just like, sure, whatever, I'll show up. Tell me when. But we didn't talk about what I was going to talk about, so I was kind of scrambling last minute. So yeah, part of my big kind of shift in the ecosystem, having been here for the last 5 years now, and gone through doing just about everything that you can do in the ecosystem, from being a holder to running a stake pool to doing minting services and NFTs and fungible tokens, to where now I'm kind of just loving looking at contributing back to the open source community, and looking at ways that I can lend my time and efforts to making Cardano a better place. And that led me naturally to the CIP repository, I guess, if you will. This is a public repository hosted by the Cardano Foundation, where we write new standards for Cardano, and how we're going to use the blockchain and how we're going to develop and enhance the blockchain. So a lot of people are probably familiar with a small one that's coming up called SIP 1694. Thaddeus, is probably familiar with SIP 25 and 68 and hopefully 88 and some of the other ones that I've written around NFTs. So it's a little bit of everything. But at the end of the day, we don't have a ton of participation there. So I would really like to spend this time to hopefully encourage people to get more involved in the process, because it takes a community to develop robust standards. And unfortunately, historically, we've had a small handful of contributors who have kind of unilaterally decided on standards that aren't always great right off the bat because they don't get a lot of community feedback. So yeah, with that said, I guess ask me anything you might want to know about Cardano CIPs, how the process works, how you can get involved, just kind of anything going from there.
Yeah, I think the first thing that happens to people when they get in there, by the way, Thaddeus, we also didn't get funded with our own project, so don't worry. It's happening. It's kind of overwhelming because you see this huge list of CIPs, and then you see people that really knees deep in the discussions. And I mean, I told you in our one-to-one talk that I also tried to write one, even with the help of a few really experienced people, and I totally failed on it, I would say. I mean, people were nice enough to keep the discussion up with me, but that was a very generous act towards me. So how would you say what you say is the best and easiest way for people that are maybe non-technical to join the conversation? And even if if they are new to Cardano, what should they do first before they engage the discussion? Because I mean, it takes a while to read everything, to understand the whole ecosystem. But sometimes people have a very good idea of what they expect from an ecosystem, but they don't know the nitty-gritty details of what's already been happening before and where the discussion were. And I think it's a total overload if you're new and you have to work yourself through this. What is the best approach to not tap on people's shoes who are deep in there, waste their times and your time, but be in the communication or contribute?
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways to get involved, and usually the only reason that a CIP really gets, I would say, rejected is kind of like a lack of a community consensus that it's really a need that we need at a global scope for Cardano. Because a lot of times what we're trying to do is either suggest things like, hey, here's how governance is going to work, right, with SIP 1694, or here's what a metadata standard for NFTs is going to look like, or here's how we're going to tell people how many decimals our fungible token has. So they're very, very global scope. And so one of the easiest ways to get involved is to either participate in the Cardano forums. Is a good place to kind of start that discussion and refine your idea a little bit before you go into writing the actual pull request on GitHub and then get into the nitty-gritty details. So engaging and participating there, but also you can just go through and I provided a link to the CIP's repository in the chat here. You could look at the issues or the pull requests and leave comments, ask questions, because sometimes having questions from, even if you're not technical, right? Like, explain this, give me the Eli 5, talk to me like I'm 5 years old and tell me why we actually need this thing and why your solution is the best, right? Like, why should we change Plutus to accept, I don't know, widgets? And why do we need that? Why do we need to spend money and time developing these things? Why should a marketplace support XYZ? So a lot of that, just by having some of that conversation and presenting challenge to some of the authors can be really constructive to get them outside of their bubble and force them to kind of really break it down and provide a better rationale for why we need things. And at the same time, like I said, participating in platforms like the forums or Twitter Spaces or meetings like this, town halls and such, can be really constructive to help you actually build a team to help you write and put forward a proposal if you think that you really have something that is a very good global standard, right? Get some of those more technical people on your team to be co-authors, get people that are willing to kind of champion it with you or help you out with implementation details, because it's more than just saying, I think this is a good idea. We also need to justify that and potentially back it up with like some working code examples so that people can see the real start to finish of your proposal from beginning concept all the way to end execution. But yeah, I see Ricardo has a hand up. So
yeah, can I just shortly add to this question? Ricardo, you're mute, by the way. But
yeah,
I know it from Stack Overflow, right? I'm coming from that time when you were asking a question in Stack Overflow and it was slightly off the standard, then you got crucified for that, right? Is that the same thing in the Cardano forum? There's very, very strong opinions there. And if you're not so much in the know, you might say something where you immediately get, is the word dodged down for that?
Yeah, so I don't personally actually do much on the forums because I'm kind of knee deep in the pull requests and the comment sections on GitHub for the most part, once things actually have gotten to a written out proposal, because of my volunteering to serve as an editor, which is an unpaid volunteer position for what it's worth. We have a couple of people that are appointed from the big three, who basically their job is to be a SIP editor. But then there's two of us, Robert and myself, who are just community members who feel it's important, who have volunteered to be on the editor panel. And so I could say, you know, from my experience, we generally only look at a standard from our editor eyes. Does it meet the criteria for quality and content that we've specified for a standard, right? It's not really our job to say whether the community should or should not adopt a standard, just to say this is a well-written standard that people can follow, and therefore it should be kind of moved along. But, you know, sometimes there are conflicting proposals that kind of both are competing, and we do have to, usually what I've been trying to do is encourage us to do like workshops or open separate discussion threads in our, we do have a CIP's Discord as well, where we try to workshop and host separate discussion threads around particularly big ideas, like redefining the wallet connector standards is a big one that we're working on right now, or obviously governance related topics like metadata and what that's going to look like on chain. So we're trying to get as much community participation in those platforms as possible to make sure, again, we have good representation and nobody is kind of mandating on high. We can get at least some social consensus on the best way forward.
Thank you.
But yeah, all that to say, I don't know how, I guess, toxic, for lack of a better word, the Cardano forums are. Most of the criteria or the criticisms I've heard is more about kind of being overly aggressive with the moderation in terms of like, oh, you mentioned your project's name, so we're going to block it because it's a shill or something. But yeah, I don't have a lot of firsthand experience with that. Usually I only go into the forums if somebody has a more technical thread about like some of the protocol parameters and they ask for my opinion on it.
Yeah. Adam, I would have a question related to the role of Intersect now, since it's a creation. You mentioned before there are from the big three, so Emurgo, IOG, and the foundation, there are some involvement on some kind of moderation. But how do you see now Intersect as a member space organization stepping in, or how is this working in your point of view?
I'm actually in favor of the foundation maintaining control over the CIPs specifically.
Okay.
Intersect I view more as like the business end of getting things done. So it's good to have a clear distinction. You know, if Intersect were also to own the CIP process, which is where we need to provide a platform for the community to say, this is an important feature that we should add to Cardano. I think it's good for the foundation and the CIP editors to agree and say, yep, that is a good thing. Then we can toss it over to Intersect to put it up for a grant or a contract to say, okay, who's going to build it now from our members, right? Like who is capable, who can meet the budgetary requirements, and who can execute on actually delivering the software that we need as a community. So we do have a CIP editor who is now an employee of Intersect, so they are participating in that regard. But I do like keeping, to some extent, the CIP repository separate and outside of Intersect control, because there is a link there.
It is a little bit like in the segregation of powers in a government, right? You have the legislative and discussion and coming to consensus about new law, and then you have the executive, which in your analogy would be the Intersect, or yeah, more business related part for executing basically what was agreed upon. Is this analogy correct, or?
Yeah, or so maybe more like in this specific, when we're talking about the CIP process, maybe even the CIP repository and the editor panel are more like the executive branch, and they say, hey, this is important to me. And so they're going to give a task to you know, the Congress or the representative body, if you will, being Intersect, who will then pass it on to their committees. You know, like I am also sitting on the open source committee for Intersect, who might say, okay, where does this fit? Who's gonna be responsible and who's gonna own it, and develop the laws and the bureaucracy around fulfilling the goal that we got from the executive branch. And then other committees might have oversight, like more of a judicial, like, hey, are we spending our money wisely? You know, are we giving out grants fairly? So I view Intersect as kind of, by its structure and then by its members, both the legislative and the judicial branch to some degree, because, you know, obviously we all choose to be members of Intersect as a members-based organization, and so its legitimacy is only held up if we have a large amount of participation from members.
Yeah.
If the three members of Intersect was Meld, IOG, and Emergo, it wouldn't necessarily have a lot of like weight of authenticity to truly represent the community, right? It's just the three of those guys hanging out and deciding what's best for everybody. So there's a combined factor that Intersect has to walk, saying, you know, you need to both play nice and play by the rules of the, you know, that the community judges to be fair, but also represent the larger community. So it's a interesting balancing act, and I'm excited to kind of have been here since Intersect was announced and watching this whole thing unfold before our eyes.
Thank you.
There's
Thank
a
you for
chance. So there's a chance that it's going to be re-separated again. Do you see that?
Which part are you thinking might be
Of
re-separated?
the CIP process.
The CIP process is still separate. So it's
Okay.
not going to be, there are no intents or plans at this time
Okay.
to move the CIP process under Intersect, because it's owned and ultimately owned by the foundation right now. And I haven't heard anything from the foundation saying that they want to move this process under Intersect.
But there are voices that claim the CIP process got to be part of Intersect, or
No,
Did
I think Ricardo was just asking how I viewed what
Okay.
is Intersect's connection to the CIP process.
okay, now I got it. Thank you. Bit slow.
No, yeah, it's definitely a weird transition phase that we're in right now, you know, with all the previous IOHK repositories moving under Intersect, and so everything's doing this great migration, and so it seems it's a natural question, right? Like, is the CIPs and some of these other things also going to move under there? And it's also an interesting question that we've been facing on the open source committee is, you know, does Intersect automatically own a repository if a community member gets a grant to produce a piece of software? Must it be published under open source? Does it go under the umbrella of Intersect, or can they maintain independent control of their repository? So there's a lot of these really interesting questions that we're having raised to us as a community and trying to solve and come up with answers as a community. And so it's a really fascinating process to be part of.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for volunteering on the CIPs.
and for joining us today.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Adam,
absolutely,
thank you.
guys.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thanks for having me. But yeah, I won't hold you up anymore. I'll let Ken get up here and say Meldito a couple of times so we can do some giveaways.
So we can win the.
This was pretty interesting for you not knowing what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm
Impressive.
blessed. I'm pretty well trained with public speaking, so I usually can, at least for 15 minutes, get up there and blow hot air at people in a pretty convincing way. So thanks for having me.
Amazing. It was
Thanks for
amazing.
this honor. Ken, are you here?
I saw a lot of
I am
Meld
here.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meldito
great.
would very much like to congratulate you guys for your successful CIP, or sorry, for your successful grant that you guys have just won.
Thank
So
you.
no pressure in having to use the M word several times. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
joining.
I expected better news from Catalyst, I mean, for my personal proposal, but okay, we keep it up.
Yeah, I just gotta fight the good fight.
Yeah. Never give up.
No,
No.
never give up. Absolutely.
Never give up.
Did you have such
Sure.
an hard way as well? I mean, you
Sorry?
went from, yeah, you went from designer to CEO of Meld, right? I mean,
No, there's a bit of a there's
that's a
a
stretch.
big process in between there. So I stopped being a designer in 2010. And then I had a software development company from 2010 until 2017. And towards the end of that, in 2016, I started doing data visualization, like with game engines and stuff like that. In 2017, then I tried with a couple of other people to get a banking license in Malta and did that until 2019. So yes, my background is in design, but I have a kind of, I don't know what you would call it, like a sidetrack into software development and software architecture and, things like that for a period of time. And then when I worked on this application for a bank license, I just got super frustrated with bureaucrats and regulators and, lawyers and, all this kind of stuff. And so that kind of took everything out of me. And then I took a break and then came back in 2020, end of 2020 with Meld, where I didn't have to deal with, or I was hoping I didn't have to deal with regulators. Obviously, I didn't learn my lesson, right? Because now I'm sort of neck deep in regulators and all this other kind of nonsense now. Just the way it goes.
I just love it. So you have a developer background as well. Did you develop
No,
as well?
no. So no. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an engineer. So I have worked as an architect, and I do kind of some degree of architecture, but I am not a software engineer by any stretch of the imagination. So I can work with engineers quite closely, and I can sort of help in that process. But the closest thing I would kind of describe it as is, in the crypto space, the word UX means something different. Or in the Web3 space, UX means something different than in the Web2 space. In the Web2 space, UX means the user's experience from the perspective of, the interface you have and the sort of interactions you have there. But in Web3, UX also means the developer's experience, right? How easy are the developer tools and how easy is it for a developer to onboard and to use the product? So I would say that I have more of a kind of a UX experience in that perspective rather than an engineering experience. I haven't written code since, I haven't written code since PHP was actually useful, which was a very, very long time ago, probably 2006, 2005, something like that.
It got back. It got a little comeback.
Yeah, right. A little bit.
I'm still a vivid fan of it, to be honest.
I'm a fan of it as well, but that's only because I know how to write it.
Yeah. So I know there's some haters here, but yeah, haters gotta be haters.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry for interrupting you. You want to go on into Meld. There's been a lot of things happening lately, right? And
yes, absolutely. It's been a while since I've talked to you guys, so I'm hoping this is going to be a really interesting and fun conversation to have. I'm not going to go into too much of the kind of pitchy type of thing. I'll just basically say Meld is effectively an on-chain bank. What we started out as, which was pure lending and borrowing, has kind of evolved a little bit to a product where all of your assets sit on chain. And when you want to use them, whether you want to stake them or you want to, connect them to a debit card and pay for them or anything like that, then you can in real time do that. And you'll be able to do it from the Cardano blockchain, from the Ethereum blockchain, from the Meld blockchain, and go straight into these different types of assets. So we're mandating this idea of an honest to goodness on-chain neobank, where you're not looking at keeping your assets in a USD deposit account like in Revolut. You're keeping them actually on chain. But when you take that debit card and you go and use it at the store, then it automatically takes the asset, if you choose to, off chain, converts it to fiat in real time, and then pays for it then and there. So the real value proposition for this is that you're able to keep your assets. They're yours. No one can touch them. You can't get a sort of message from your bank saying, oh, sorry, we've frozen your account. And it's not, that won't affect you. But also more importantly than that, in almost all cases, when it comes to a bank account, you don't really earn a yield. So we want to make it so that the assets that are on chain make it very easy for you to earn a yield. If you have your ADA, then you can stake your ADA and get a yield against that. If you have USDT or USDC or whatever stablecoin, you can stake that and you can get a yield against that. It's about creating more opportunity for the assets that you keep and creating that fluidity between the traditional use of assets and the crypto side of things.
And the staking works via the app, or does it work natively? Because when we have Cardano, we have the non-custodial staking total.
Yeah.
So you basically wouldn't even need the Meld app, but you can use the Meld app, right?
Meld app is just an interface for Cardano staking. It's just an interface to the stake pools on the Cardano chain. In the same case for Meld, it's the non-custodial or decentralized staking for the Meld blockchain. And we'll be adding it for BNB and for Cosmos and for lots of other chains as well over time. But all of it needs to be non-custodial and it needs to be decentralized. Decentralization is a question for depending on the different chains you're on, but that's the sort of the goal, or at least the intent.
And what is the roadmap for those? Because you currently have this the staking campaign basically.
Yeah.
And you have different options. You have the liquid one, you have 1 year, no, you have 6 months, you have 1 year, and you have 5 years. For those who are not so familiar with Meld, what is the 1 year and what is the 5 year projection? Because 5 years is really long, and you have to basically lock it up, but you get an NFT that you can then sell.
Right.
But what do you expect Meld to be in 5 years?
So yeah, so like you said, Meld is its own blockchain, and we're connected to Cardano, and we're connected to Ethereum, and we're connected to Avalanche, and we'll soon be connected to Bitcoin. So we have our own native staking, and we used Cardano staking as an inspiration for how we structured our staking. It's quite different in a couple of different ways. Like you said, we have, instead of just having liquid staking, we have liquid staking as well as 3 different tiers of locked. So the user can choose whether they want liquid or they want 6 months, 1 year, or 5 years. And if you lock it up for that period of time, you're not really locked up. You can take your stake and you can move between nodes, so you're not stuck to a specific node. And like you said, it's an NFT, so you're able to sell that NFT on the secondary, so you're not 100% sort of tied in. So it's more closely connected to like a bond. So it's an NFT that has a regular yield connected to it.
Yeah.
But so in 5 years, what I would say is, I would say that Meld is a strategy. So that's kind of what we want for the staking side of things. In the same way that, a lot of projects on Cardano use the native staking as a composable component for other products. They use it as a strategy as part of other things. That's kind of our ambition level, is to create the staking so that it can be composable, so that it can work across different blockchains in different ways. So on Ethereum, you have this concept of restaking now. I think you've had it in Cardano for quite a while. It's been used by, I think, Genius Yield and a couple of others. But that's kind of the value proposition when it comes to the staking side of things.
Cool. I have to be honest, I'm staking with you guys, and we use actually this for our team, the small team, as an incentive for later. So basically, it's like you have those retirement programs and so on. So this is a fixed time frame that we use it for, and it's like an incentive. And whenever somebody reaches a goal, then they get this NFT transferred. So that's the way how we use it, because I think what you do is great. You get a lot of whiplash. Do you say backlash from the community for doing what you do? And I feel as a founder, this must be very, very hard. See, your skin must have been very thick grown by now. But I can openly say I support what you do, and I find it every time interesting when you hear and share your experiences, because it's not easy with a very criticful, I don't know if that word exists, but a community that is open to share critic as much as the Cardano community does it. So,
yeah, we've taken a lot of heat, and I think that I think that it's good. How do I say this? I think it's good to just get it all out there. So I know that we've taken a huge amount of heat. A lot of people in the Cardano community feel very, very betrayed because we have decided to we sort of put our lending and borrowing on hold, and we decided to launch our own L1. We've had several spaces, and we've asked the community to come and talk to us about it and ask questions. You can be as absolutely critical as you want. I have no issues with that. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. We did what we did for very, very good reasons. I'm happy to walk through those reasons with you guys if you want to sort of have that conversation. What we did decide, though, is we're going to be launching our lending and borrowing on the Meld blockchain soon. It will support ADA. It will support other ADA assets. But after we do that, we're going to launch the DAO, and then we'll put to the DAO an explanation, a detailed explanation of exactly why we paused lending and borrowing on Cardano. And we'll let the community make the decision as to whether they want us to take that. We'll have to do a couple of minor updates to it, but we can take the source code. It's all open source now. We'll take that and we will deploy it on the Cardano blockchain. But the important thing is that the community will know exactly what the risks are. If they're willing to take those risks and they're very clearly stated, then I'm happy to continue that. That's the only reason why we put the brakes on the lending and borrowing protocol on Cardano. It's not because we had any there was no sort of lack of love or kind of some sort of conspiracy or anything like that connected to it. It was all based on pure, rational, well-founded, statistics-based decision-making. And so we have no hatred for the Cardano community. I mean, it's hard because a lot of people in Cardano are very, very kind of maxi oriented, and they're very hurt by the fact that we've decided to go onto our own chain. But I think maybe to some degree it's softened a little bit because of what World Mobile has done, what Chronocopius has done. It's just it's a natural progression. I don't believe in single chain futures. I believe in cross chain futures. The fact that you guys are building a bridged Cosmos is absolutely brilliant.
that's Adam, it's not me.
Yeah, I know. It's just, when I say you guys, I mean people in the community.
Okay.
So the cross-chain narrative is the future, and that's the way things, I think, should be. So the more cross-chain activity we have, the more cross-pollination we can have, the more people that are going to come onto the Cardano ecosystem, and they're going to see the value propositions that exist there. This siloed thing doesn't work for me. It never has. I mean, we've always said this. So I guess as part of this conversation, it would be great if any of you guys have like simmering questions that you want to ask, or that you're kind of you feel haven't been answered in regards to what we do, what we have done, what we are going to do, what our future is, how we relate to the Cardano ecosystem versus other ecosystems, I'm happy to field those. I'm happy to have a discussion with you guys about them.
Very cool. One question I've been always asking myself, what is it with that Cardano token that are partnering with you already? What are the criteria? Do young projects get in there too? Do they need a certain volume to join
No,
you?
no.
Or what is the criteria here?
Our system is an open system, right? So anybody can do anything that they want. The only thing that and it's not really a requirement, but what I guess you could say I demand. What I demand of them is that they play nice, that we work as a unified group. Crypto is too small to have infighting, in my opinion. And if you're going to launch a token on the Meld chain, or if you're going to bridge it over and have it supported in lending and borrowing on Meld from Cardano, just play nice. Just be sincere and be aware that, there are lots of blockchains out there, and, we all want to win. And so, like, we have a couple of projects that are launching on the Meld chain. And what I've asked them, and all of them have said that they're going to be doing airdrops. And what I've asked them is, if you're going to do an airdrop, then share. So you need to talk to the other projects, and you guys need to share tokens, so that when a person uses one protocol to get access to the airdrop, they'll get access to tokens from other projects. So have this kind of cross-pollination relationship that you have with some projects to kind of build a better ecosystem.
So like 7, we've not going down to like 9.
Unless this is her night.
Luke, you're not on mute.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
So and what's the advantage of being on the Meld chain? What can somebody do currently with a token on the Meld chain? Can they then just join the lending and borrowing protocol then at that point?
No, so lending and borrowing is launching soon. Pretty much all you can do is stake. We have a bridge from Cardano to Meld. That's a bi-directional bridge. We work with Chainport to be able to support that. We support a half dozen tokens right now. I think that there's a total of like 25 or 30 tokens that we support right now. And we'll continue to increase that. And the focus will be, when we launch the lending and borrowing, to support a handful of tokens from Cardano into the lending and borrowing protocol, so you can do that. We're also going to be later on supporting RWAs, and we'll hopefully bring those RWAs not only to Meld, but also to the Cardano ecosystem through the bridge, so that we can cross-pollinate as much as we can. So again, our vision, our kind of approach is not single chain, but it's to kind of bring these chains together and have them sort of work in a harmonious manner, so that everybody can win depending on the different assets you have on the different chains.
Sounds great. Sounds good. I have many questions, so but I want to give the stage to other people here, because
sure,
I'm not the only one.
Meldito will come up and ask a question.
That's what I wanted to figure out. How did you come up with that figure's shape?
Let's be clear. So Meldito was not developed by us. Meldito was developed by Matt, who was one of our ambassadors. And he created this character that was perfectly round, that had legs and hands. He actually had one made, and he sent it to Charles, and Charles had it on one of his shows. So that was done kind of independently. The character that we have, the little square character, his name is Melder. not Meldito. So it's important that we distinguish between those two. So Melder was created by us, and it's kind of our official mascot. The idea behind the shape is largely connected to the fact that he's cut down the middle in two different colors. And so each color represents, one side represents fiat currency and the other side represents cryptocurrency.
Nice. I like this when you open the app, I'm doing the heavy lifting.
Yes. Yeah, he's a cool character. He has a lot of personality. We're using him for a lot of things. We're actually partnering with another project who's using Melder for the project that they're working on. So yeah, he's a fun character. It's nice if you can create a character for your project that has a lot of personality, then he can kind of soften the rigidity or the hardness when you're sort of interacting with finance and things like that.
Nice, yeah. And the app is currently in beta, the mobile app.
Yeah. So we have a
so-
mobile app. I think there's about 600 people that are using it in beta right now. It's been in beta for 4 months, I think. It's just about to come out of beta. So we should be submitting it to the App Store very, very soon. So it's going to be an incredibly busy and incredibly exciting springtime for all of these different projects or products that we've been developing for a while.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I would like to keep you here forever, but I think we all have our families that we need to join soon. For those two guys who already at number 3 almost, we need your ADA address. Don't add the
Bank managers are Cardano NFT.
What you can do if you don't have an ADA wallet now, which I doubt, hopefully.
I'm sure everybody here has an ADA wallet.
is
Something like that.
Lidl is in the team, right?
Lidl is in the team, yeah.
Sorry, man, you're excluded.
Yeah. No team members.
Yeah.
Our team consists of a whole bunch of Melders, not Melditos.
So I got these. Let me copy these. Marcin. No, it's Marcin. I always pronounce it wrong. How's it right? Is it Marcin?
If you're talking about my name, it's Maciej.
Maciej. You're also doing a banking project, right?
Well, yeah, I'm more like open banking, which is more traditional finances in European Union, and we connect banks and use account information services and payment initiation services. This is something that connects more to traditional banking, but of course, with the Byron network, we are planning to merge both worlds, DeFi and traditional finances. Who knows? That's gonna come out soon. So I really appreciate what you guys doing with Meld, and I'm following you for a long time. So as I heard, you got a Maltese bank license.
No. That was a failure. That failed in 2019.
All right.
So we're in the process of partnering with several different banking service providers. Some of them are open banking related, but we're still in the process of finalizing those contracts. During the bear market, most of the major bank infrastructure players were shutting down all of their crypto sort of accounts. Yeah. So through the bear market, it became more difficult and more difficult. But since now the ETF has happened, we've seen a dramatic change in the ambition levels or the risk appetite, depending on how you look at it, for all of these providers. Many of the providers have now come back to us and said, oh, by the way, now we actually like crypto again.
So yeah, I can see it as well, and I'm really looking forward for the MiCA and for the PSD3, because PSD3 combines payment institution with e-money tokens with e-money, so you can provide stable coins or anything like that.
Right.
And just to finalize my words here and statement, if you'd like to discuss further the licenses from Cardano guy, then I'm happy to discuss
That'd be great. Yeah.
AIS and PIS with you, because of course we are Central and Eastern Europe. We are not the whole Europe for a moment, but maybe you'd like to test something. I'm happy to share our access with no additional fees. So
Let's do it. Let's do it. That sounds great. How do you want to? Do you have my Telegram details?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna just post my email on a chat and just contact me.
Super. I'll reach out to you. Absolutely, absolutely.
Mission accomplished. We connected.
Mission accomplished. Exactly. The whole point here is to work together.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Ken, this is Ricardo here speaking. Sorry, I just wanted to thank you, and unfortunately I had to jump into the car and start driving. But yes, thank you so much for joining us today, for giving insights on what you guys are doing. Very excited indeed about this cross-chain initiatives. Looking forward, hopefully, to have you again in the show soon.
Thanks. I'd be happy to come and join anytime. Happy to answer any questions and just have a good conversation.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. With that, I would conclude. Davide, final words? Sorry, I didn't catch you.
You are alone, Marcos.
Sorry, I didn't manage to
Davide is
click on the
like-
mute button.
What happened?
Were you playing World of Warcraft?
No, I was just immersed in my sadness and not able to click the unmute button for like 15 seconds straight. It was a very nice Fireside chat as usual. The team is always nice. I have the chance to work with amazing people that I love, and also all the guests were really funny tonight. Thank you for having joined us for the Fireside chat. It was amazing as usual. Every time we get a step further, so I'm impressed about what we are achieving. So we see each other in 2 weeks, I guess. Please, if you have any idea, just contact us. And I remember that we can have other Twitter spaces, as I mentioned before. And with that, everybody have a good evening and talk to you soon, guys.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Bye,
Don't
guys.
forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.